Horror doesn't start in haunted houses. It starts in everyday places. These are 5 nights that prove it. Story 1. The last bus ride. I missed the last train by a single minute. The station doors slid shut in my face, the lights inside dimming until the whole place looked abandoned. My phone buzzed at 5%. No rideshare nearby, no friends awake. The streets were too quiet. Standing still made me feel like prey, so I walked to the curb. That's when I heard the hiss of brakes. A bus rolled up. No route number, no destination sign, just frosted glass that read in flickering letters, "Last run." The door sighed open. The air that spilled out was stale, like an attic that had been locked for years. The driver didn't look at me. His cap was pulled low, his hands welded to the wheel. He gave the smallest nod, and something in me moved my legs inside before I even thought about it. The seats were almost full. A woman in a yellowed fur coat stared forward, her lips a thin line. A boy in a faded hockey jersey tapped his skate against the floor. A man in a funeral suit held a wilted flower. No one blinked. No one breathed. I sat near the back, pulling my jacket tighter. My phone glowed in my hand. No signal. The bus rolled forward and the city blurred into smeared sodium lights. But the streets weren't right. We passed my school twice without turning. We passed my block 3 times, and every house had a single window glowing upstairs, as if someone was watching from the dark. I tried to ignore it until the woman in fur coat slowly turned her head, joints creaking like old wood. Her eyes locked on mine. "You're late," she whispered. I froze. Wait for what? Her lips stretched into a smile that didn't touch her eyes. Collection. I yanked the stop cord. Nothing. No ding. The driver didn't even glance back. The boy's tapping grew louder. Tap, tap, tap. My heart stumbled trying to keep up. We drifted past the hospital. The ER doors were propped open, but the inside was empty. A single gurney sat in the hallway. The sheet covering it rose in a long, slow inhale, but never fell. I stood up. "Hey, I don't have fare. Just drop me off." The driver's voice came low and cold. "You already paid." My stomach nodded. "When?" "When you looked both ways." He didn't explain. He didn't have to. We passed my street again, and this time I saw something through my own window. My room, my bed, and lying on it was me. Pale, still, my chest rising shallow, erratic. My phone buzzed, a text from my mom. "Where are you? We can't wake you up. Your door is locked." Ice shot through me. I called her, straight to voicemail. The bus slowed. My reflection stared back at me in the glass, pale and stretched. The passengers started to sway, but not with the bus. They rocked the opposite way, like weeds dragged underwater. I slammed both hands on the rear door. Emergency exit, break glass. But the tiny hammer was gone. We slid beneath the overpass raised to skate. Spray paint stained the walls. My name, fresh. "Where are we going?" My voice cracked. The passengers answered together, a whisper that scraped like knives. "Last stop, last run, last time." The driver pulled the cord himself. One hollow ding. The bus eased toward a crossing sign on an empty road. But there were no tracks, just endless black. "End of the line," he said. The passengers rose as one, filing past me. Each pressed their hand to the fare box, which rattled like something trapped inside was trying to claw out. I shoved past them, my chest hammering, and ran down the aisle. I hit the door, and this time, it opened. Cold air slapped me in the face. I leapt onto the curb and sprinted straight home. But when I shoved my front door open, I didn't see my house. I saw bus seats, flickering lights, passengers waiting. The woman in the fur coat sat on my couch. The boy tapped his skate on my rug. The man in the suit smiled, like he had been expecting me. "You can't get off," the woman whispered. You were already collected. The door slammed shut behind me. I spun. Gone. No door. Just another fogged bus window. I looked down. My hands were gray, see-through. My phone slipped through my fingers and fell, straight through the floor. The only thing below me was the black line stretching forever. My phone lit one last time. A voicemail transcript scrolled across the cracked screen. We lost him. Time of death, 12:07 a.m. The bus lurched forward. The passengers laughed together, low, hollow, rattling like dry bones. I tried to scream, but the sound didn't belong to me anymore, because the truth hit like ice. I never missed the last train. The last bus had been waiting for me all along. Story 2. Voices in the vents. The first night, I thought it was a prank. A faint whisper leaked from the vent above my dorm bed. Hey, that's it. One word, barely louder than the hum of air. I laughed, nervously, rolled over, and convinced myself it was someone in the next room messing around. But the next night, it wasn't just hey, it was my name, Emily. I sat up so fast I hit my head on the wall. My roommate was gone for the weekend. The floor was dead quiet. I climbed onto my desk and pressed my ear against the vent. Cold air, nothing else. When I climbed down, the whisper came again. I can see you. I didn't sleep. Over the next few nights, the whispers didn't stop. Sometimes laughing, sometimes saying my name, sometimes repeating whatever I was doing. Brushing your teeth, writing a paper, changing your shirt. That one made me slam the closet shut and sleep in my hoodie. By Monday, I couldn't take it. I went to maintenance. The guy at the desk chuckled. Sound travels in these old ducks. Probably kids being stupid. I begged him to check. By noon, 2 workers came in, unscrewed the grate, and shined a flashlight inside. Dust. Empty ducts stretching into the dark. But one worker paused. He leaned closer, squinting. Thought I saw something shiny, he muttered. The other laughed it off. They closed it up and left me alone. That night, the whisper came again. They didn't see me. By midweek, I was recording everything. Hours of static, but when I replayed it, faint sounds bled through. My name, a cough, sometimes the creak of metal shifting. I played it for my RA. He went pale, then forced a smile. Could be interference, don't worry about it. But I caught him moving his mattress into another room the next night. Thursday night was the worst. I duct taped the vent shut, sat awake at 2 a.m. with every light on. The whisper came anyway, muffled, but clear. Just why'd you cover my window? I pressed my hands to my ears. The whisper grew louder. You're cuter when you sleep. I bolted into the hallway and slept on the lounge couch under fluorescent lights. When I woke up, there was duct tape stuck to my arm, the kind I'd used on the vent. Friday afternoon, I broke. I yanked the vent cover off myself, holding my phone light inside. At first, just dust and blackness. Then something metallic glinted. I reached with a broom handle. Knocked it loose. A phone, not mine. I picked it up. The lock screen was a photo of me, asleep, in my bed. I dropped it like it burned. I sprinted to security. They didn't laugh. They called the police. By evening, maintenance had pulled open several connected vents across the building. That's when they found him. A man. Thin, filthy, clothes stiff with dirt, living inside the ducts. He had a blanket, water bottles, snack wrappers, and a perfect view through the grates into multiple dorm rooms. When they dragged him out, he smiled at me like we shared a secret. You hear me, don't you? He said. I'll never forget his voice, because it wasn't a whisper anymore. It was exactly the voice I'd been hearing for weeks. Story 3. The Midnight McDonald's. It was just after midnight when I pulled into McDonald's. I hadn't eaten all day. My stomach was twisting, my eyes heavy, and I just needed something quick before going home. The golden arches glowed over the dark street like a lighthouse for the tired and hungry. The parking lot was almost empty, except for a white van parked in the far corner. Lights off, engine silent. I glanced at it once, shook my head, and rolled into the drive-through lane. The speaker crackled. "Welcome to McDonald's," a voice said, slow and flat. "Go ahead." I ordered a cheeseburger meal and a Coke. Standard, normal. But the way the voice repeated it back made me pause. Too slow, like someone reading it out loud for the very first time. Finally, "Please pull forward." At the first window, the cashier slid it open. His hands shook as he took my card. He never looked at me, just kept darting glances behind him. "You okay, man?" I asked. He swallowed hard, slid my card back, lips trembling like he wanted to speak. But he didn't. He just closed the window. Weird, I thought. Long shift, maybe. But the way his eyes moved, it was like he was begging me without words. At the second window, a brown paper bag appeared. No thanks, no smile. Just the bag shoved into my hand before the glass slammed shut. I pulled into a spot under a flickering light to eat. That's when I noticed them. The employees. Through the wide glass windows, I saw at least 4 of them. But they weren't cooking. They weren't cleaning. They were standing in a line, perfectly still. And every single one of them was staring directly at me. I tried to shake it off, opened the bag. The fries were stone cold. The burger, worse. The patty was raw, not undercooked. Raw. Pink meat, juices seeping into the wrapper. I gagged, dropped it, and looked up again. The employees were pressed against the glass now, their hands flat, palms fogging the surface, grins stretched far too wide. And the cashier, the nervous one from the first window, was gone. My gut screamed to leave. I started the car, headlights cutting across the lot. That's when I froze. The van, its side door was open now, and a figure crouched inside, watching me. I threw the car into reverse, heart pounding. Then the drive-through speaker behind me crackled again. "Don't leave yet." The voice wasn't coming from the speaker. It was coming from inside the car. I whipped around. The cashier was in my back seat, his uniform torn, his mouth sealed with duct tape, his eyes bulged, tears streaming, shaking his head violently. Before I could scream, another hand slid from the darkness beside him and clamped over his mouth harder. I yanked the door handle, but all 4 locks clicked shut. Click, 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 not from me, from them. Inside McDonald's, the employees began to laugh. Not real laughter, high-pitched broken sounds, like toys winding down. All of them slamming their palms against the glass, harder, faster, in perfect rhythm. The van's headlights flared, its engine roared to life. My chest seized with panic. I smashed the horn, the locks, anything, but the car wasn't mine anymore. In the mirror, I saw the cashier being yanked deeper into the shadows of my own backseat. His muffled screams cut off in an instant. I didn't wait to think. I threw my shoulder into the door until the glass spiderwebbed. With a final slam, it burst, and I crawled out onto the asphalt, rolling across the lot. The van screeched away. And when I looked back, McDonald's was dark. Every light off, every window empty, like it had never been open at all. The police showed up 20 minutes later. I was shaking, covered in glass, stammering through the story. The officer gave me a strange look, then walked me to the locked doors. He shined his flashlight inside. Empty, counters wiped, chairs stacked, no one there. "This place closes at 10, he said slowly. "Has for months." I turned toward the corner of the lot, toward the shadows where the van had been. But it was gone. All that was left was the faint smell of raw meat in the air, and the memory of those wide, unblinking eyes watching me from behind the glass. Story 4. The wrong apartment. It was late. I was exhausted. I took the elevator up to the 5th floor of my building, like always scrolling on my phone. When I got to my door, the key slid in smooth. I stepped inside, tossed my bag down, kicked off my shoes. Everything looked the same. But the air was cold. The walls, darker. The lights hummed like old wires about to blow. Something felt wrong. I walked toward the fridge, opened it. Inside were pictures, dozens of them, taped to the shelves, not food. Photos of me sleeping, me brushing my teeth, me on the couch, phone in hand. Every angle of my life. My stomach dropped. I stumbled back into the living room. The couch wasn't mine. The TV wasn't mine. And in the corner, sitting perfectly still in the armchair, someone was there. Their head turned slowly toward me, face hidden in shadow. I bolted for the door, yanked the handle, locked. I never lock it behind me. "Hey," I shouted, panic spilling out. "Who are you?" The figure stood, slow, deliberate. The sound of bare feet dragging across the floorboards. I didn't wait. I slammed my shoulder against the door until it burst open. I stumbled into the hallway, heart racing. But something was off. Every door in the hallway had the same number, 5B. Row after row, dozens of them, identical. I ran, pounding on doors. No answer. Then, from behind one of them, I heard it. My own voice, whispering, "Come back inside." I bolted for the stairwell, thundering down. 4th floor, 3rd, 2nd. But the numbers on the walls didn't change. Every floor said 5. My knees shook. I kept running. By the time I reached the lobby, my lungs were on fire. I burst through the door and froze. The lobby was full of people. Every single one of them was me. Dozens of me, sitting in chairs, reading newspapers, waiting by the elevator. Each one turned their head at the same time and smiled. I staggered back, slamming against the stairwell door, locked now. My doubles stood, moving in perfect sync. One step forward, pulling something from behind his back. A paper bag, grease-stained. He opened it slowly. Inside was the raw McDonald's burger I had thrown away 2 nights ago. Another double held up my old phone, cracked in the corner, playing footage of me, sleeping. A third reached into his coat and pulled out my keys. The exact same lanyard, same scratch on the plastic. They weren't just me. They were living my life. I ran to the glass lobby doors, yanking at the handle. Outside was my street, but wrong. Every car parked in the same spot. Every lamppost flickering the same way. And in every window of the building across the street, people stood watching. All of them had my face. Behind me, one of my doubles whispered, voice echoing from every throat in the room. "You've been replaced." I turned. The lobby was empty. No doubles. Just one man in the armchair from upstairs. The same shadowed figure. Except now I could see his face. It was mine, older, tired, and smiling. I blinked, breath stuck in my throat. When I opened my eyes again, I was the one sitting in the chair, watching, and the real me was stumbling toward the door, screaming, pounding, trying to get out. I wanted to help him, to shout, to warn, but all I could do was smile, because I wasn't me anymore. I was the thing on the other side of the glass. Story 5. The Last Stop. It was 2:14 in the morning when the gas light came on. The highway was empty, nothing but black trees and yellow lines stretching forever. I was 20 miles from the next exit when I finally saw a glowing sign. Gas. 24 hours. I pulled off. The station sat alone, flickering lights buzzing over cracked pavement. One pump was lit. The rest stood dead and dark. The lot was empty, except for a rusted van parked in the corner. No headlights, no movement, just sitting there. I slid my card, shoved the nozzle in, and watched the numbers tick up. Inside the store, the clerk sat behind the counter. Pale, heavy-eyed, head bent over his phone. When he noticed me, he glanced up once, then quickly looked back down. Like he didn't want to be caught looking. Like he didn't want to get involved. Halfway through filling up, I heard it. A creak. I turned. The van's sliding door was open now. Nobody got out. I swallowed, pulse spiking. My hand gripped the pump tighter, willing it to hurry. The clerk shifted behind the glass, like he wanted to say something. But he didn't. The pump clicked full. I yanked the handle, jammed it back in, and climbed into my car. The smell hit me the second I shut the door. Stale sweat, cigarettes, like someone had just been sitting in the back seat. I whipped around. Nothing. But I didn't waste time. I locked the doors, started the engine, and peeled out fast. The highway swallowed me again. No headlights behind me. I tried to calm down. Told myself I was paranoid, sleep-deprived. But 10 minutes later, the gas light blinked on again. I stared at the gauge in disbelief. I had just filled it. The needle dropped toward empty, like the tank had a hole in it. That's when headlights flared in my mirror. The van. It sped up fast, closing the distance until it was right on my bumper. I switched lanes. It followed. I sped up. So did it. Then the first hit came. A sharp slam against my rear bumper that jolted my whole body forward. The wheel wrenched in my hands. I fought to steady it. Another slam. Harder. My car fishtailed. The van swerved left, pulling alongside me. For a split second, I saw him. The driver. Shaved head. Cold grin. And someone else in the passenger seat, staring dead at me. I floored it, heart pounding. But the road ahead narrowed into a single lane of construction barriers. Nowhere to go. The van rammed me one last time. Metal screamed. My car spun sideways, slamming into the guardrail. The airbags burst, blinding me in white. Through the haze, I saw the van skid to a stop. Both doors opened. Two men stepped out. One with a tire iron, the other carrying duct tape and a roll of black trash bags. They didn't run. They didn't yell. They walked. Calm, certain, like they'd done this before. I fumbled with the seatbelt, panic clawing up my throat. My fingers slipped. My chest locked. A shadow fell across my window. The tire iron smashed the glass. Hands grabbed me, cold, rough, pulling me out onto the asphalt. The last thing I saw before a boot pressed against my head was the second man opening the van's sliding door. Inside were ropes, blankets, a blood-stained cooler, and piles of shoes, dozens of them, all different sizes. They found my car 2 days later, totaled against the guardrail. Airbags deployed, driver's side window shattered, the keys still in the ignition, but no trace of me. The wallet, phone, and bag were still inside. The van was gone. When detectives pulled the station's security footage, the tape was worse. It showed me at the pump, filling up, the van door sliding open, and the clerk inside, glancing up, watching, then slowly looking back down at his phone, not calling anyone, not moving, like he had seen it before, like he knew exactly how it would end.
Horror doesn't always come from monsters. It comes from the places you thought were safe. And sometimes, the next story could be yours.